Hi everyone, this is D-Vang. Got a little something sort of special for you here. We have the Shadows of Brimstone Frontier Town expansion. And as you can see, it comes with this nice solid, cardboard laminated board for the town, in which there can be town adventures. So what I'm going to do with you, and of course that has some different rules or additional rules for gameplay in the town, rooftops, doorways, things like that. So what I am going to do here is I'm going to actually play a game, mission number 1, which is the Shootout, sort of the basic mission from the adventure book for the Frontier Town. And I'm going to go over sort of what the rules, not sort of, I'm actually going to go over the rules for in town and see what happens, give you an idea of exactly what to expect, what you can do here in the town using the town board. And that should also give ideas for if you decide to create a custom mission or a custom game that's something that's other than the mines, or even to some extent you could have some of these rules will work in the mine as well. A little bit of elevation, a little bit of cover, things like that that could very well be useful for any custom modifications. And if they come out with some additional boards, or if you want to design your own board, give a different kind of town. I do kind of wish, although this is a very nice looking board, I do kind of wish they had done it more in the style of what they had done for Last Night on Earth, and have these be tiles that you can put together. I do understand there's going to be some limitations then on like building size, because this one spans this tile. This one spans, different tiles and or squares, and you could make larger squares, or rectangles. There are a number of reasons I'm sure why they did it this way. But it would be nice to be able to reorganize the town a little bit, change the map up a little. But part of it, there are like spawn points here at each of the entrances. And obviously all the buildings are kind of facing, or the majority of the buildings are facing the main street. So, there are a number of reasons, but it would be nice to have something a little more customizable so you can alter the layout of the town a bit. Still, again, the quality of this is really nice, very sturdy, very solid, great artwork as usual. So I'm not going to, I'm not really complaining about that. As much as just sort of wishing, and of course I'm sure people will come up with things as well, and who knows, Flying Frog might come out with some town expansions, additional town pieces that you could say cap on the ends of these to extend the town in one of the directions or multiple directions off the road. That would be kind of interesting. There are some new rules that I'm going to quickly go over. I don't want to be too in depth. You'll see a bit more during the game. So for those who are familiar with Shadows of Brimstone, there are a couple things to keep in mind. There is no lantern as far as the voices in the dark. You don't have to stay near the lantern holder in that regard. You do have a hold back the darkness roll, but what that does is simply when you fail, it will start spawning additional bandits that you're going to be facing. The streets are one map tile, so anywhere you are on the streets, you could be on that side of the board, you could be over here. That's all considered one map tile for any effects that affect the map tile that you're on. Each building, each room basically, is its own map tile, and they are adjacent if there is an opening between them. So you can see up here, these two interior buildings are adjacent because there's a doorway right here. But if you look down here, there's no doorway in this wall. So these are actually not considered adjacent. Now they are all these buildings are adjacent to the streets. Okay, so that will come into play at certain times if there are effects that say on your map tile and things like that. We have, so there are doorways, which are just kind of open, and there are windows, which you can kind of see are these little kind of blue wall lines. You cannot normally move through windows, but you can spend a grit. Heroes can spend a grit to move through windows as you're diving through the window. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, you can't go through walls. Cover saves. So there are a couple places where there's cover, and in and out of windows and doorways, there's cover for firing, in or out, depending on where you are. Basically, cover's really simple. It's just an additional 4+ save before you roll your defense rolls. That's it. Nothing too fancy for that. You can lean around corners and doorways. So if you're on a corner of a building, say here, you can actually lean out, and you kind of put yourself on the lines, and so you kind of count as being in all of those squares. And it costs you a movement point. And you're splitting the space, and you're leaning around the corner, so you can make ranged attacks. You count as being in both spaces. And you count range from either one. You face the model in the direction you're leaning. And you get cover in that direction. And that's the same way with doorways. Because normally, your line of sight through windows and doorways is a triangle. So, for example, this model's here. So his line of sight, I'm going to mark it here with the dice so you can kind of see, is going to be like this. Okay? And so on. So that is his normal line of sight. What's going to happen then is he can lean out, spend an extra movement point. So he gets on the line between those. And then his line of sight is going to be a full 180. Because he's leaning out. And he still gets cover. So essentially it's just costing you an extra movement point to lean. And then he counts as being in both these spaces. In fact, he even gets to count his range from this forward space as opposed to the space back in the building. So it's kind of actually a best of both worlds, I think. Now, I have not actually done this. This is going to be the first time doing this mission. But that's sort of what it seems to be. Rooftops. So the other big thing is rooftops. So every building has a roof. They're all separate roofs. Except for, obviously, these share a roof and those share a roof. So, what happens on a rooftop? There's a couple ways. Enemies sometimes will spawn on rooftops, and enemies will potentially run up to rooftops essentially only to chase heroes if they need to get into melee with them. Otherwise, so rooftops are their own map tile. They're considered. And what you do to indicate that a model's on a roof. Now the roof counts basically as one big square. So the whole space here is one square, one roof tile. And basically he counts as being on any of these outsides. So anytime range is going to be measured, even if you say have the model over here, you're going to count your range from this square. If you're, wherever direction you're going to shoot, or if you're going to shoot over here, you could count as being on this space. And what you do to indicate that you are on a roof is what it suggests, and obviously people And I know I'm currently kind of trying to come up with a solution to make this look pretty cool. Cool as you're going to take a bunch of these like 5-point sanity or wound markers, and you just put the model on it, and then they know they're on the roof and not on the square in the building. Now you can use 5, 10, or however many. Stack them as high as you want. That's just indicate that they are elevated on the roof. So beyond that, so you're going to draw the range and line of sight from there, and basically you can see all the rooftops, and the one space that you cannot see when you're on your roof, obviously you can't see into buildings, but you cannot see the spaces around the roof. So that's kind of the dead zone around each building. Each rooftop is the squares right around it. Moving to and from, so heroes, if you start your activation inside a building, what you can do is you can just give up your movement to move up to the rooftop. And the same thing for coming down. You're on a roof, start your activation on the roof, you give up your movement, and you come back down. And you can place it in any space of the building, so wherever you want when you come back down. And you can go up from any space of the building. Obviously, you can see this building is really the only one that actually has stairs, but none of these others do. You assume there's who knows, there's a ladder somewhere. Let's get very abstract. Enemies with the shootout, which are going to be bandits, will never leave the rooftop. They're always going to stay up there. Yeah, and that's about it. There are 4 entry areas. You've got an A, B, C, and D. And there's a couple other little rules as far as how the bandits, how enemies work. But I'm not going to worry about those right now. So let's take a look quickly at what I've got here set up. So the premise is, because we're going after bandits, this is a heroic law posse, a very OK Corral-like, facing off against a group of bandits over there. You can see I've got the models already there. Obviously not painted yet though, and I do apologize. I don't have the majority of these painted. So we're going to start with a gunslinger, whose ability I took Pistol Fanning. And he's got a dynamite, and his personal item is a ribbon. So that's not going to do much other than agility. We have a Marshal. Okay, and the Marshal with the shotgun. His personal item is shackles. Again, not going to help a whole lot with the extra strength. And Rolling Thunder, attempt to recover a grit. He's trying to kill somebody. We have a sheriff. We got the lawman laying down the law with his peacekeeper pistol. His personal item are the rough skin gloves, so additional strength. So both the law characters have additional strength, which is kind of funny. And Frontier Justice. Use a grit to add 3 damage to one of your hits. And last but not least, we have a rancher with her hunting rifle. She took the Farmstead Defender. No enemies adjacent. She can reroll once. And we've got a boot knife for in close. If one of them should get in close, but she's probably going to be more of a sniper. And I should say the other 3 have bandages. The gunslinger has dynamite. So those are the heroes that we will be using here. Very basic heroes, because this is going to be mostly an introductory mission to see how it all plays. All right.